Israeli defense chief resists pressure to halt Gaza offensive, says campaign will take time. Special counsel Jack Smith asks the Supreme Court to rule quickly on whether Trump can be prosecuted. Snowfall, rain, and gusty winds hit northeast as Tennessee recovers from deadly tornadoes. Today is Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. And this is the Dunkley Report. Israel's defense minister pushed back against international calls to wrap up the country's military offensive in the Gaza Strip, saying the current phase of the operation against the Hamas militant group will take time. In a briefing with the Associated Press, Yoav Gallant refused to commit to any firm deadlines, but he signaled the current phase could stretch on for weeks, and that further military activity could continue for months to come. Israeli troops continued in fierce battles with Hamas militants in the southern Gaza city of Khan Younis and in northern Gaza. Special counsel Jack Smith is asking the Supreme Court to take up and rule quickly on whether former President Donald Trump can be prosecuted on charges he plotted to overturn the 2020 election results. A federal judge had ruled the case could go forward, but Trump signaled he'd ask the Federal Appeals Court in Washington to reverse that outcome. Smith's request, Monday, is an attempt to bypass the appeals court. The High Court justices indicated later, Monday, that they would decide quickly whether to hear the case, ordering Trump's lawyers to respond by December 20th. Trump's presidential campaign says, "There is absolutely no reason to rush this sham to trial." A combination of heavy rain, snow, and wind is bringing threats of flooding and power outages to the Northeast. It's part of the same storm system that killed 6 people in Tennessee. National Weather Service teams are assessing damage as emergency workers and community members deal with the aftermath of several tornadoes that toppled houses and cut power to tens of thousands. Winter storm warnings are in effect through late afternoon across Vermont and northern New York, where up to 10 inches of snow were forecast. The Washington, D.C. area had some slushy snow overnight. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is warning that when the free world hesitates, that's when dictatorships celebrate. He is also issuing a personal plea for Congress to break its deadlock and approve continued support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia. Zelensky spoke Monday at the National Defense University in Washington. President Joe Biden has asked Congress for $61.4 billion for wartime funding for Ukraine as part of a $110 billion package that also includes money for Israel and other national security priorities. The request is stalled in Congress. Zelensky is expected to meet with Biden and lawmakers on Tuesday. Lawyers for 2 Georgia election workers are asking jurors in a federal case to make Rudy Giuliani pay the women tens of millions of dollars in damages for false accusations he made against them that led to threats and racist harassment. In a Washington courtroom on Monday, the lawyers played recordings of the threats the women received after Giuliani falsely accused them of fraud while pushing Donald Trump's baseless claims after the 2020 election. The trial in the civil case will determine how much the Trump advisor might have to pay the women. The former New York City mayor has already been found liable in the defamation lawsuit brought by Ruby Freeman and her daughter, Wandrea Shea Moss. At a small rural Missouri high school, two English teachers shared a secret. Both were posting adult content on OnlyFans, the subscription-based website known for sexually explicit content. The site and others like it provide an opportunity for those willing to dabble in pornography to earn extra money, sometimes lots of it. The money is handy, especially in relatively low-paying fields like teaching. Many post the content anonymously while trying to maintain their day jobs. But some, outed teachers and others in prominent fields, have lost their jobs, raising questions about personal freedoms and how far employers can go to avoid stigma related to their employees' after-hour activities. Countries at United Nations-led climate talks in Dubai moved closer to reaching a final deal on Monday, but critics condemned a draft agreement as a watered-down document that won't stop dangerous climate change. More than 100 countries have called to phase out planet-warming fossil fuels. Instead, the draft called for countries to reduce consumption and production of fossil fuels in a just, orderly, and equitable manner. The Bangladeshi envoy said a revised text would be presented Tuesday morning that takes into account the many comments on the draft. The talks are supposed to end Tuesday, but the annual conference often runs beyond its appointed end date. Greta Gerwig's Barbie dominated the Golden Globe nominations with 9 nods for the blockbuster film, including Best Picture Musical or Comedy, as well as acting nominations for Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, and 3 of its original songs. It was closely followed by its release date and meme companion, Oppenheimer, which scored 8 nominations, including Best Picture Drama, and for actors Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr., and Emily Blunt. The revamped group, now a for-profit endeavor with a larger and more diverse voting body, announced nominations Monday for its January awards show, after scandal and several troubled years. The show airs January 7th from Beverly Hills. Early awards in Hollywood's unfurling awards season have gone to films like Celine Song's tender relationship drama, Past Lives, Jonathan Glazer's piercing Holocaust film, The Zone of Interest, and Martin Scorsese's sprawling Osage Murders, epic Killers of the Flower Moon. But a showdown was always brewing. Barbie and Oppenheimer, those summer sensations united in release date if little else, have loomed as perhaps the most potent Oscar contenders of the year. When the Golden Globes on Monday announced picks for its 81st awards, the scandal-plagued, comeback-seeking Globes put their full weight behind the twin phenomena of the movie year. Airports and highways are expected to be busier this Christmas season than they were a year ago. Auto Club A predicted Monday that 115 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from home over the 10 days starting right before Christmas. That's about 2% more than last year, but not quite as many as 2019, the last holiday season before the pandemic. Most of those people will travel by car, and they'll enjoy slightly lower gasoline prices than a year ago. Airfares are also down a bit from high levels a year ago, according to government figures. Today's news was reported by the Associated Press. This has been the international news for Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. Thanks again for joining us here at the Dunkley Report.